Hello again, my wonderful viewers. I'm back, kind of. School starts next week, so I'm probably not going to be too active for the next few months. But I thought I'd give you a little bit of content over this huge summer break I've had. YouTube has recently started the whole channel trailer thing, and while I'm not good at making short trailers because I talk way too long about things, I hit the camera, I apologize. I talk way too long about things, but might as well do something along those lines. So, if you are new to my channel and this is the first thing you see, hi. This video is going to be a few minutes longer than you expect from channel trailers, but it's just me talking about what makes me me, so bear with me. If you are a already subscribed person who is seeing this on their feed, I'm back. So let's get into it. Now, I thought I'd show you my pride and joy and talk about some of it today. Anyway, so, books. This is pretty much going to be a random video. I'm just going to hop around to different books I've read and talk about them and be proud of some of them. Case in point, one of my favorite authors that I found completely by accident is a Welsh author named Jasper Ford. And I have become such a big fan of his that I ended up ordering the other editions of his books, not the ones that we get here in America. And not to sound like a hipster, but it's because America kind of tortured his book covers. This isn't a bad cover, especially since, you know, the artwork ties into the title of the book. I can see where they're going with this, but it's just not as, it just doesn't scream anything cool at me. It is nice, you can feel the maze, like it actually pops out of the book. But if you compare that art to, let's say, the first book in the series, this is just so amazing. Like, it's colorful, something's going on here, you don't know what, and it looks like it's worn, you can see it looks like it's got shelf, sorry for the camera bump. With Jasper Ford's books having the UK versions with this wonderful like fake wear to them, and I'm just trying to get it across. I've ordered 2 UK versions of the books. Of the first 3 Thursday Next books, and I would try to explain what the Thursday Next series is about, but it's very complicated and very simplistic at the same time. They're just so beautiful. And here's a tip. Anyone who is getting started with Jasper Ford, if you've just started reading his books, whether they be Thursday Next or the Inspector series, or even if you read his one-off books like Shades of Grey, if you go on his website, you can order the UK versions of his books from him, and you get badly framed, poorly lit pickup shot time. I went to Jasper Ford's website to double check because it's literally been years since I've done this. Here is a final tally. $26.28 to get you a copy of Lost in a Good Book shipped to your address. Now, the prices of the Thursday Next book seem to be about the same. Obviously, you know, there are going to be some price fluctuation between each book, but it's around that much for this kind of paperback. You also get a stamp from the Goliath Corporation on the inside of the cover. You get a signature by Jasper Ford himself, a dedication if it's not huge or vulgar, and you get a postcard, which could be anything from a character to Jasper being cool. Just, it's random what postcard you get. It's kind of cool. I know it's it's almost $30 for a book, but seeing as it's coming from Wales, you're pretty much paying the author directly, and you're getting all this cool stuff with it. I honestly think it's one of the better, cooler things I've seen. I mean, I can't think of many authors where I could get that kind of, you know, like fan service for an affordable amount, and it's more of a direct, transaction, I guess. You get, you know, the ultimate edition of that book. I feel that's worth your money if you're a big Jasper Ford fan, or if you're just getting into him and you want to have like a slice of the experience. There are books on this shelf I own just because they are books that I think I need to own. Like, I do not like J.R.R. Tolkien's style. I mean, I like The Hobbit, I like reading The Hobbit, but I don't like this. I still own it anyway. 10 cents. If you show me a book, I'm not that against J.R.R. Tolkien, that just happened. I'm not going to edit it out, though, because that was kind of funny. Now, I just mentioned a book with a very unfortunate title, Shades of Grey. It's not that Shades of Grey. This isn't like some fan cover. This is Jasper Ford. And for those of you who've heard me rant about him for the last minute or so, to put it... How do I describe him? If you see this name on a book, it's going to be very creative, it's going to have a really weird premise, and it's going to be very fun to read because you'll find yourself stumbling around in the dark for some of it. The way he writes, he's got this world is happening around you already. It's been happening for a while, and some things are just taken for granted, but you don't know that they're taken for granted. Case in point, in Shades of Grey, all animals have barcodes on them. That's just cuz. It takes a while to explain it, but it's just there. Deal with it. I don't collect for quantity, I collect for quality. I try to. But the thing is, every now and then I see a pretty book. You just get sucked in. I own no less than 3 copies of Dune. I have read 0 copies of Dune. It started off, I got this one for $1 with the intention of finally reading Dune and not having just seen that really weird Sci-Fi Channel miniseries. Then I found this one, which has a really funky cover, and it's from the 70s, so it's like the real Dune. Like, there's not been any edits or anything like that. Then I got this for my birthday. I will say, this is a really good edition. The print is great. It's got this wonderful gold, gilding to it. This will be the version I do read, if only because I prefer reading big hardcovers, because big hardcovers commit to it. That's not going anywhere. If you crack open, let's say, this to the wrong area, it closes on you and stands up upside down. They close on you, and that's quite irritating when you're lazy like me. If there's one thing I can tell you that's nice about Barnes & Nobles as compared to, reading on a Kindle or something, it's when you can go get wonderful, hardcover, leather-bound books for $20, and you've got the complete something. I've got the complete Sherlock Holmes, this ridiculously funky complete Lovecraft, and of course, because everyone needs a slice of alcoholism in their life, Hemingway, 4 novels. Wonderful, wonderful books. A lot of these books are here half finished for one reason or another, one of which I haven't even started yet. I was in Barnes & Noble one time waiting for a date to start that never would. That's a long story. And I ended up shopping for books. And I saw this nice cover from afar, and it looks kind of cool. Between Man and Beast, an unlikely explorer, the evolution debates, and the African adventure that took the Victorian world by storm. To sum it up from what I've read from the back, it's about this guy who is like the ultimate pith safari helmet wearing explorer in Africa, going back to London and becoming a scientist right around when Darwin's papers were circling, and it was a pretty rough time for scientists. Like, it was just crazy. It was 20% off. I got it, and it looked like a really cool book. I got home, put it on my shelf, and said, I'll read that in 2 weeks. And as this is probably true for many readers, I meant to do this, and then Gaiman happened. I'm surprised there aren't many, forced internet memes about Neil Gaiman yet, because he's everywhere, and I can't even get away from him. I've started reading American Gods, and it's taken over my entire reading career right now. Usually I have 2 or 3 books going, lots of irons in the fire, and I switch between them depending on my mood. Neil Gaiman is here, he's on my phone in audiobook form, and he's on my iPod in audiobook form, and both of those audiobooks keep synced. I am loving the hell out of American Gods. He is everywhere. Even the last couple of episodes of Doctor Who I've watched, coincidentally, were Neil Gaiman episodes. But yeah, if you want a suggestion from someone who hasn't even finished the book yet, American Gods is one of the more fun things I've read this year. And I've read quite a lot of books. And if there's one kind of book I love reading, it's books that not a lot of people know about. A Transatlantic Tunnel Hurrah by Harry Harrison, which sounds like the fakest name ever. This book was written in serial form for a magazine in Britain in the 70s. This book is based in a steampunky alternate timeline of now, which would be the 70s, where the American colonies didn't actually win the Revolutionary War, but they exist in the way that Australia exists from the UK now. They're part of the monarchy, but not really. So there's this big push to build a tunnel under the Atlantic to create a rail line for this newly developed nuclear-powered steam engine that runs on completely seamless rails at several hundred miles an hour. The technology in this is really cool. It actually inspired me to start writing my own steampunk story that I've been working on for a while. And it's just a fun book. But the problem is, it was written in serial form and then thrown into a book. The book didn't do too well. There's only a copy in my library because someone donated it. I actually had to hunt down a copy of the book that didn't have a crap cover. Like, this is the best cover of it there is, pretty much. There's another one that's like really trippy, and it doesn't say anything about the book. This actually shows like there's a train in this book, and maybe there's going to be a transatlantic tunnel, and maybe we're going to be excited about it. That's about it. It's really cool to go and find a book and then talk about it, and people go, "What is that book? Who wrote it? I've never heard of it." Instead of going, "Hey guys, I just read this new book. You should really read it. It's cool." How many people in the room are going to go, "What's that?" Also, no, your Skype didn't just go off. It was mine. There are books here I bought because they're bad. Case in point, I'm a huge Sherlock fan. Not just BBC Sherlock, but, you know, all milieu of Sherlock. This is A Study in Scarlet in graphic novel form, and let me find the right page for you, because it pretty much sums it up. I bought this for 25 cents, and I paid 26 cents more than it's worth. But there's a reason I bought it. Sherlock Holmes looks like if you took Bruce Wayne and threw him back into Sherlock's time. And it also has onomatopoeias like ting-ling ting. This book is horrible. This is not a good example of a good graphic novel. You can tell that the art style is consistent. It looks good, bright colors, defined lines, blah blah blah. You can tell it's aimed at kids, like people younger than me, 22. It's trying to get you interested in Sherlock without the preconception that Arthur Conan Doyle is a boring read, which is completely false. Now, if you want a good graphic novel that's nothing like Sherlock, bam! Deadpool 4-1 Dead Presidents, brought to you by the wonderful Brian Posehn, who looks like this and does things like this that you should watch because it was a good movie. The plot, pretty much, is that this necromancer brings back every dead president of the United States, and they go evil and try to destroy the world. There's so many history jokes in here, I can't even begin to approach them. There's an entire section where Deadpool, boxes Abraham Lincoln. That's just, I can't show anymore because I'm sure Marvel will kill me if I do. But needless to say, that was my introduction to Deadpool was Merc with a Mouth, and that, I read them both in the same night, had a lot of fun with them. So that's a little bit of my collection. I've got books, I've got DVDs, I've got whatever. I've got random stories that make no sense out of context, but who cares? And I've got a DeLorean on my keychain. That's kind of who I am. So, this is my channel. If you've been watching this long, congratulations, you made it. Let's call it quits for today, and I'll see you guys around sometime. Thank you for watching. Check out the links in the comments. Check out the links in the description below, and don't forget to be awesome.